Hello everyone, my name is Simo. What if your Power BI dashboard could answer your toughest questions instantly in human language? So I came across this idea because I've been working at a company and a lot of people are asking me questions like how did you do this, how did you build this, etc. And I came across this idea and I was thinking, how can I avoid having to answer all these questions? And then I thought about AI. I was like, oh shit, okay, there we have AI. So I thought about how I could actually integrate Power BI with OpenAI and have a platform where people can just ask questions instead of coming to me and asking me how did I build this, or any business question. They can just type in the question itself inside of Power BI and they would get the answer immediately on their screen. How did I do that? Let me show you. Let's hit on my laptop. And by the way, if you're new here and wondering who we are, hi, I'm Simo. I run a company called Electrics. We help businesses stop drowning in spreadsheets and start making smarter decisions with clean, automated dashboards. Whether it is sales, operations, finance, or marketing, we turn raw data into real clarity using tools like Power BI, cloud platforms, and now AI. So if you've ever looked at a report and thought, can someone just tell me what this means? You're in the right place, my friend. All right, so first thing you're gonna have to do to actually make this work is that you're gonna have to install Python, right? So just go to the website. I think this is the link. Okay, just go to the website, click download Windows, and then just follow the steps that you see here and make sure that you install Python, right? So whatever works for you, just get the one that is actually gonna work for you and install it on your computer. Then once that is done, we're gonna have to verify if it is working, right? So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to open your command prompt, right? Just go to CMD and then make sure that your Python is installed. So you're gonna have to, just copy this code. I'm gonna put everything in the description. Copy this code, hit enter, and it's gonna tell you which Python you have, right? So it's gonna show the version of the Python that you have. So that's it. Then you know that you're all set. I think once you've done this, if you go to Power BI, you'll be able to actually see that you have Python already installed. So because before doing this, if you, for example, come here, you're not going to see it. Options, you won't be able to actually see if Python is actually installed, right? You come to Python script and you're not going to see these options here. But once you do install Python, you'll be able to actually see those options. So first thing you're gonna have to do is just install Python, test the connection, or test if it is installed, and then you can go ahead and move on. The second step is to actually make sure that you install, pandas on your command prompt. Same thing again. I'm not going to do that again because I've already done it before. So just make sure to do this. I'm going to leave all these codes in the description so you don't have to look for it elsewhere, right? Then once that is done, you're going to have to do another thing, which is you're going to have to go to OpenAI. If you don't have an account, create one, because you need an account to actually establish that connection between your computer and OpenAI. So you're going to have to go to OpenAI API key. Then you're going to have to create your key and make sure that you don't really share that with anybody, right? So I think, guys, I'm going to leave you guys to figure that out. It's pretty simple. You're just going to have to head in the platform. I'm going to leave this link as in the description. You just log in, and when you create your key, make sure that you don't share it with anyone. Store it in a very safe location because you're only going to see it once, and make sure you don't really share it with anyone, okay? And then once you have your key installed, or you have retrieved your key, you're going to have to run another command on CMD, right? So the command that you're going to have to run is this one. So you're just going to have to replace this with your OpenAI key, hit enter, install, and that's it. You're all set. Well, after you've installed everything, you should be ready to start playing around with Power BI and testing the OpenAI connection inside of your Power BI dashboard, and try to answer some questions. But before you do this, I would recommend you to test if the connection is established. And how you do this, you just take this code, you run it into command prompts, and it would return your key actually. So which is something that you're not supposed to share with anyone. I'm not going to do this right now because it would return my key, but I would invite you to do it when you complete all these steps that we've talked about earlier to just test if it's working, right? Okay, so let's hit a Power BI. I think it's time for us to actually play around with this. All right, guys. So this is my database. It's a very, very small database. I don't have anything fancy, just a restaurant, right? It's a small business. They have like pretty much, I think dinner, lunch, yeah, dinner, lunch. All right, pretty much like the days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday. You don't really have a lot of data here, okay? But we can test it. We can play around with it. All right, so let's just see how this thing works. So I already prepared some questions. All right, so I'm going to ask whatever question I want. So how can we blow up the business fast? Let's see. Well, my dear friend, if by blowing up the business you mean increase the sales rapidly, then I've got some insights for you. If you mean cause literal explosion, then I'm afraid I can't help you. Now let's dive into this data. It seems like Friday are quite popular for both lunch and dinner, with both men and women, and oh boy, they love to smoke. It's like the 1950s ad agency in here. All right, so I actually, chose the personality of my AI, so we can actually do this when writing the prompt. You can actually ask it to be funny or ask it to be angry or whatever. But damn, it's pretty funny. What does it say? Just kidding. Don't do that. It's a terrible idea. Okay, so anyways, let's just ask another question. Uh, Show me total bills, smokers versus non-smokers, numbers, please. Let's see. It's thinking. There we go. All right, let's dive into the smoky and the non-smoky world of our dinners. So it pretty much answers all your questions and it gives you exactly, the numbers, it does the totals and everything for you. So if you, for example, want to know anything about your business, all you're going to have to do is come here, uh, write your question, and it would answer it. So the reason why I'm using this table, so probably you guys noticed that I've created a selected columns table here, and that's where I'm actually writing my questions. The reason is because there is no way in Power BI that you can add for example, placeholder for questions. I have tried to do this with multiple visuals, like for example, this one, it's called like text filters, but it was not working because there is no way that Python is going to capture the question. I have tried also using Power Apps, but it seems like if you use Power Apps, you're going to have to send the data to a database, either like a SharePoint or either like an Excel file or either whatever location, SQL, and then you're going to have to click the refresh button here for Power BI to get refreshed, and then you'll be able to have the question here in the drop down list, or then you're going to have Power BI answering your question. So anytime you want to answer a question, you're going to have to write it in the placeholder the question, refresh, or click the button, send it to the database, refresh, and then you get it into Power BI, which is like pretty much a very long process. And instead, I came up with this idea where I created a simple table that is already like on my database. It's called questions. Okay, so I just have my questions here. And if I want to add any other questions, I can just write whatever question I want. I can just come here and write whatever question you want, whatever question, blah 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 blah, and you'll have it as a choice in the drop down. You can pick it up, and then the AI is going to answer the question. And you can pretty much answer anything. You can pretty much tell you everything about your business, like like whatever you want to know. Like think about it. If, for example, you have an e-commerce company, right, and you want to know what you should do to actually scale up, or what is the best product, and it would actually literally pretty much analyze that data for you and tell you exactly what you need to do. All right, so now as you've seen how it works and you've seen that it is actually working, let me show you how it was built. All right, so after you've seen how this thing works and you've seen that it's actually working and answering your questions, let's see how we've built it. So by the way, you don't really need to establish any connection between your data set and your questions. As soon as you have a table called questions where you can actually write whatever question you want, that's all we need. All right, we don't need to establish any connection. So let's actually look at the code that we've built. All right, so basically here we have import OS, and what it is actually doing, it helps us work with things like environment variables where we store key secrets, or for example, when you establish the connection between our Power BI and OpenAI, we store the key in place, and it would help us go and get that key from there. Very simple, okay? And then we have import pandas as PD, which is pretty also simple. It lets us work with tables and data easily, like Excel and SQL tables inside of Python. So this, it's going to help the AI actually work with the data. All right, and then we have import matplotlib. This one helps us draw things on the screen like showing text or charts, right? Asking the question to receive the answers. This is what actually helps us do it. And then you have open, or you have from OpenAI, import OpenAI. This is the official OpenAI tool to talk to ChatGPT for. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the code. So this one is pretty simple. As you see here, we pretty much connect into the database. I have a database called data set, all right? And this is actually connecting, connecting exactly to that data set, right? All right, okay, so then we have the next one is question. So both are the same, right? So Power BI gives us a table called dataset and questions that automatically contains all the data that we connected with before, and then we save it into a Python so we can handle it as a table. So when we ask a question later, then it will go here and it will pick the data, pick the question, come up with the answer. All right. Then the third part of the code is check if user didn't pick a real questions. So if, for example, for instance, I didn't pick any questions here, what you're going to see is please pick a question from a drop down above. That would, it's a hint to the users that they're going to have to select the question. Okay. Then we have the other part of the code, number 4. Isolate the real data. All right. So it's just like, prepare real data, remove the question columns, and then it pretty much like compares the question and it selects it, and then it comes up with the answer. Okay. Here we're building a schema. Basically, before you actually build this code, what you're gonna have to do is when you select Python, I'll do it from scratch. When you select Python, the first thing you're gonna have to do is you come to your data set and you select all your columns, or the columns that you have on your table, and you would also select the question. So once that is done, then you just remove this, all right, and then you start building your code from scratch, like import and then you can move on to the next part, which is import pandas as me, and then you keep going, right? So I'm not going to build the code again from scratch because you've already done it before. But yeah, so this is the first thing that you're going to have to do even before you copy and paste the code that I'm going to leave here, or you create your own code from scratch. So basically, this is what it means by building a schema, and then here we're telling ChatGPT exactly what to do. So you can actually write your prompt however you want. For me, I try to make it a little bit funny, just to make it a little bit entertaining. So you are a data scientist expert and a seasoned BI analyst with a sharp wit and a sarcastic sense of humor. Use the schema and simple data below to answer users' questions, both insightful and entertaining. Feel free to add a funny, clever, or sarcastic remarks to keep it light and energetic. It is a clear single paragraph narrative, and try to make it as simple as possible to anyone so they can understand it. Use simple language, not more than 900 characters. Include any calculation, key stats, insights, and simple forecasts if relevant. That's it. And then you call the ChatGPT. Basically, what you're doing here is that you're just pretty much like calling OpenAI, right? To answer the questions, and then you render the answer on the paragraph, and that's it. That's pretty much how it's done. So imagine that you have a bigger database, not just this small database. You have something very, very big, right? And you can ask it literally whatever question you want. Like, for example, let's say that you're an e-commerce company, right? And you have a big stock and you want to know which product is actually coming fast, which one you need to replenish as soon as possible. It will tell you, go to this product and replenish it right now because it's selling super fast and you need it immediately in the stock. It's pretty cool. Like the things that you can actually do with this thing is it's fascinating because not right now you don't even have to look at charts or try to analyze your data. You can just use AI and it will do it for you. All right, guys, this is pretty much the solution. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just drop the comment below in the section, or just reach out to us directly at Electrix. So you can just look for us here, electrixdata.com. If you have any questions, just come here and schedule a strategy call or talk to us. If you want anything personal, you can find here my information, my email. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.